and two. Oh, we're live! Woo! Woo! We are live. Welcome back to another Basement Radio Arcade podcast. Believe it or not, guys, I'm actually a little bit under the weather.
Wow, Luca, I'm actually playing pretty good. I think I figured it out.
Hold on, what happened? What'd you say, Slow? Forte? I heard Forte say something. I don't know.
Yeah, Forte says something.
Oh, Forte's probably in Destiny right now, talking to the Ashen Luca.
I am. I'm talking to the Ashen Luca,
Hey.
the great Ashen Luca. You know,
So-
the Gaku.
Yeah, Luca is GOAT. Let me tell you something. So tomorrow, by the way, big shout out to my man Optimus Code, who decided to put out a video and call out Brap. He called out me, Forte, Slow-Mo, representatives of the PC Master Race community. So tomorrow, guys, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to have a debate. We're going to settle this once and for all. Woo! PC Master Race versus console debate, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on BRAP. And the Ashen Luca is going to be the guest moderator for tomorrow's debate. So you guys definitely do not want to miss this. It is going to be the debates of all debates. And I got to say something, like, you know, Optimus, I don't know if you're listening, if you're out there on the Twitters or the YouTube listening right now, it's not going to bode well for you, sir. You wear those Versace shades because you didn't want people to see the fear in your eyes. You didn't want that.
Oh,
Any.
weird.
You know it's gonna be funny when it's time to go live if your PC don't boot up.
Oh! Yo, don't put that ego on me, Ricky Bobby.
That's messed up.
You know, E, if that happens, man, that's on you, bro.
It's
Don't
like
put-
it's saying I need a driver.
See, let me tell you something. I understand that argument, but I tell you what, though, the best things in life don't come easy, and I'll just leave it at
You're gonna
that.
have to do the podcast through Discord on your Xbox.
He gonna
Wild, man.
have to plug up the Connect again.
Man.
Well, I got rid of the Connect, so. Anyhow, guys, welcome to Brap. We were gonna have Boomstick, our brother Boom, Mr. Boombastic. He was gonna be on, but he is actually under the weather. So, Boom, hope you're feeling better, man. And but we do have a returning guest, J-Dub, Kratos, the man who, I don't know. You gotta stop messing with people, J-Dub. That's all I gotta say about that.
I'm the biggest the biggest Xbot.
Yes.
in YouTube.
There you go. And you know, you're a day one Series X adapter, or adopter. You know, yes.
Facts.
So we'll leave it at that. And as always, I'm joined by my esteemed panel members, Eric Jackson, B Money, and Gaming Forte, who's playing Destiny right now. The man who multitasks while he podcasts, and Slow-Mo will be joining us here shortly. But guys, we have a lot to talk about, believe it or not. Even though PlayStation has, or Sony hasn't revealed anything related to the PlayStation 5, we still have a lot of topics to
Pissing
discuss.
off every YouTuber because they ain't got nothing else to talk about.
Yes,
Facts.
pretty much. Yeah. Well, you know what? You know why Sony's not revealing anything? It's
All
because
them rumors, them insiders.
they're scared.
Hey man, they let everybody create their own soup out there, man. Keep them rumors rolling around.
Yep.
You know what's funny, B, that you say that? I always hear people say like Xbox has the mind share right now, but you know what I hear? You know what I see more people talking about? The PlayStation 5.
Wow.
Man, I go on Twitter every day and just search PS5 like the hashtag, and I just laugh at all the stuff that people post in regards to like the stuff they're gonna do. You know what I mean, with these old ladies or with their girl or whatever, you know, when a PS5 comes out.
How they gonna pay for it?
Yeah. It brings joy in my life every day, man. So y'all keep it up, man.
B, man, that's funny, man.
Man.
So
I think it's funny. Like we talked about, I said, you know how everyone's like, well, last time they did it in February. It's like, well, last time Xbox did it in May.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Talk about.
Listen, there's no set schedule where they have to do it. Just so happened they did it.
Exactly.
And you know what? Nintendo's been quiet for the last 6 months. I mean, like, no one's talking about Nintendo.
That's true.
Hey man, they chilling. They stacking up their MPD wins, man.
Yeah, they are stacks on stacks on stacks. So, guys, on that note, I want to talk about Final Fantasy VII, the demo. Square Enix dropped a stealth demo on us. I don't know if you guys knew, but I didn't know. I woke up and happened to open Twitter, and I'm seeing people saying Final Fantasy VII demo. I'm like, what? And I ran downstairs and started downloading it first thing in the morning. My wife's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I got to download Final Fantasy VII," and she's like, "What's that?"
Nerd.
Huh?
Nerd.
Yeah, pretty much. She's like, you know what? She looked at me and she shook her head, and I was like, "Look, you know, it's Final Fantasy VII.
You wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know.
No, that's what you look like. You're like, I'm in the house. Not the drinking.
So your body, man. See, that's what you get for making fun of PC Master Race. The PC gods have struck you.
Hey, that's on Discord, man.
PC Master Race. Anyhow, look. So she looked at me kind of side-eyed about it, but yeah, I gotta say something, guys. Obviously, Final Fantasy VII for me holds a very special place in my heart of hearts, if you will. I was 20 years old when this game came out. I can't believe it's 23 years old. And it's one of those games that was a genre-defining game. A lot of people remember the PlayStation for this particular game, right?
Yes.
It did things. It took Final Fantasy to a whole nother level. And it's actually one of the big reasons why why PlayStation, the first PlayStation, was so successful. Because previous to that, Final Fantasy had been exclusive to the Nintendo console. Mm-hmm. All Final Fantasies had always been exclusive to that console. And then Nintendo goes cartridge, Sony goes CD, and Square Enix says, or Squaresoft at the time says, we're not going to do that. We want to use the capabilities of CD with the audio and everything, and the hardware of the PlayStation 1, and they birthed Final Fantasy VII. I'll never forget seeing those commercials, guys. You guys probably remember those CGI trailers at the time. Yep. Who was not blown away by that?
Everybody. That sold us back then.
Yeah,
those CGI trailers is what sold games.
Yes, and I saw that, and I'm like, holy shit! I had never seen anything like that in my life, and I was like, wow. And what's funny is that even 23 years later, the cast of characters in Final Fantasy VII, I have remembered them throughout the years of gaming, and I have never forgot about them. I actually have Aerith's theme song on my PlayStation 4 dashboard. Every time I boot up my PlayStation 4, that song is playing. And I fired up this demo, and I got to say, I was skeptical at first when they announced this remake. I was like, oh my God, this is like how are they going to do this? Like, are they going to be able to pull this off? And because, I mean, like, essentially what this game is it's a remake, but you're taking a game that's 23 years old, and you're totally revamping everything in terms of, graphics, gameplay mechanics. I mean, you're obviously staying true to a lot of the scenes and, the Midgard and everything like that. But you're bringing the game up to speed to current generation. And I didn't think that was an easy task. And when I fired up the demo, I was blown away. I couldn't believe how well they executed this game with updating the fighting. That you can't play in classic mode, so you can do the classic JRPG turn-based combat, but they brought it up to speed to current gen in terms of combat mechanics. And I mean, the intro, the train scene, you see Cloud for the first time. It's true to the actual game, the original game, and I was blown away by that. But I want to go to the panel, guys, because I'll talk all night about this game and how blown away I was by the demo. But J-Dub, I want to go to you, sir. Did you get a chance to play this demo?
Yes, sir. I woke up probably about 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and I checked Twitter and saw, I had some alerts or whatever, and guys were saying it's live, and I was like, what? And I was like, nah, they got to be kidding me. PS4, and sure enough, and I was like, oh man. And once I downloaded it, and listen, once you first boot that game up, and once you see, I mean, the graphics is the first thing that blew me away. We talked about the full motion video and the CGI and stuff like that. This real time gameplay, the graphics is better than what the full motion video and CGI was originally on PlayStation. It's that good. Let alone the gameplay. Keeping true to the nature of the characters, the updated styles and looks. Hey, I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say this is gonna be the game of the year, if not either tied or second place with another game this year. But right now, this is looking at game of the year. I can't wait for this game. By the way, I bought the collector's edition, the one with the cloud statue on the motorcycle.
Oh, nice.
So I can't wait for that joint to come in.
Nice, man. And I would agree with you. I think it's, at least for what I played, and look, I'm sure nostalgia is playing a part in my thinking, but I gotta say though, I could see this game in talks for game of the year. E. Jackson, I'm gonna go to you, man. Did you get a chance to play the demo? And if you did, what are your thoughts about the demo?
I did. It's still abiding, by the way. I see my connection keeps going up and down, so I don't know what's going on.
No, you sound good, man.
No, you okay?
The PC gods are punishing you, by the way.
Ain't nobody scared of them. So no, I did get a chance to play, and like I said, history-wise for me, like I did not play Final Fantasy VII on PS1. I just wasn't at that time into turn-based JRPGs, and I am now. But regardless of that, I did. Final Fantasy 15 was like my first, full-on Final Fantasy, with them changing like the battle system and all that stuff. So definitely was intrigued by Final Fantasy VII remake, and I did get a chance to play it the other night, and I really dug it. Like I was like really, really into it. And but that actually, asking people out there on Twitter, like, to continue on, playing through Final Fantasy VII on PS4, in preparation for the remake, and it was like pretty much like a resounding yes, except for a couple people who felt like Final Fantasy VII is overrated. But for the most part, everybody said no, definitely play through the original, so you have like that basis for comparison. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing now. But I'm definitely looking forward to it, man. I really liked, how they did the battle system, and it looks beautiful too. On top of that, man.
Yeah, it's a great looking game. Hey, what's up, Slimo?
Yo, Slimo.
Yo, so people were actually saying Final Fantasy VII is overrated?
I had a couple.
Yeah. There's some people out there saying
you have people out there like, like people who think Chrono Cross and Chrono Trigger,
Yeah. And nobody, people were saying that. It wasn't like anybody was like, sounded like they were coming off like they were hating. It's just like their own opinion, on it.
Yeah. I mean, I remember back in the day when I was a kid and it first came out, I think it was like 97. So I had to have been like either a sophomore or a junior in high school. And I remember people the cutscenes, those FMV cutscenes really like threw people off. People thought that's how the game looked.
Yes, yeah, you did. Yeah, people did think that. Yep.
And so like all these people bought the game, which is probably the reason why it was like at the time it was the most popular and the highest sold Final Fantasy at the time, because everyone thought the cutscenes were the game. Then they played the game and it was just like, yo, what is this? And then and then again the combat, and it's like, wait, I gotta wait to no. And so like a lot of people just checked out, but then it also introduced a lot of people into RPGs. Now, me at the time, I had already been playing RPGs and turn-based Japanese RPGs like that back on the Super Nintendo.
Hey, Slimo, what was your first JRPG, man? Was it Chrono Trigger?
Final Fantasy IV, which for us was Final Fantasy II. Yeah. That was my very first one. And it actually is a really good Final Fantasy, except for the fact that like they did way too many Deus Machina, people coming out of nowhere to save the day kind of stuff. A lot of fake deaths in that one too. Like after the third one, you're just kind of like, look, you ain't really dead, yo. You're gonna show up later on at some point. It happened way too many times, but that's not the best. So I think the best one is Final Fantasy VI. That's the one that I played that came out before 7, and that was called Final Fantasy 3 in America. That one has a excellent story. We talked about Final Fantasy 6 before, but it really threw a lot of people off. But then I started to notice like some guys that I knew that were gamers back then were just like, yo, this was actually kind of cool. I kind of dug the battle system, the materia system, the summons. Like people really were getting it. And so
God, gotta love the summons.
So yeah, even though they were epic in the beginning,
Yeah.
but then like after like the 7th time seeing it, he was like, "Yo,
Yep."
I need a skip button, yo," because like the summons be like 30 seconds long.
Yeah, but they were fire though. When you first did a summons, you're like, "What?" And no, you're right. Like after a while,
it
was
was
okay.
amazing.
Yeah.
The first time you did it, for every single one of them, you just be like, "Oh!" But the one thing I never got tired of was Knights of the Round Table. Was it called Cloud's Highest Limit Break? Is that what it's called? Knights of the Round?
I forget, man. I don't remember.
You would just go around just slashing like everybody on the battlefield. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that in the new game. But I mean, I did a video about it. I played through the demo twice. Like, this is exactly what I wanted from them to do a remake and to bring Final Fantasy VII back into modern day. This is exactly what I wanted. Like a mix of some of the newer combat that they've been doing with some of the newer Final Fantasies, which is probably about the only good thing out of them, because all of them suck when it comes to story. Like, I think they're. Did
you not like 15, Slow-Mo?
I think 15 is trash.
Wow, really?
15
come on,
is
man.
awful.
I thought 15 was a good entry. I don't like Noctis per se, but I thought 15 was a good entry.
I mean, look, I'm not going.
Hot takes today. That's what that is. That's
How is that hot take?
Go ahead, Forte. Speak your mind,
How is
sir.
Final Fantasy 15 being
is
trash a
trash.
hot take? A lot of people think the game sucks.
The game doesn't suck, man.
Go ahead, Forte.
Okay,
Why do you
right.
think the game does not suck, Forte? Let us know why.
Because it's mostly just comes down to because people don't care. They don't too much care for the new combat system. There's most of it because it has like that Kingdom Hearts style combat system that
I don't have a problem with the combat system. I thought it was too easy, but I didn't like the foundation of the combat system.
What did you not like about it? You just like how what did you not like about it?
The story was absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible.
I'm not gonna say it was the best Final Fantasy because I agree with you.
It's awful. It's an awful story. Any story where you have to watch 2 movies before you play the game to understand it. No,
But Slow-Mo, isn't that all PlayStation first party games? That's what I hear.
No.
The development of 15 was like all over the place, though. You know,
15 was a little,
That's not an excuse, though. I mean, we got to judge the final product. Yeah, it was all over the place, but we don't give Anthem a pass for their development being all over the place.
Anthem was a buggy, broken mess. That's why.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 15 was not broken in that regard.
We don't. I mean, yeah, it was a buggy, broken mess, but also like that story for Anthem was not up to snuff for what we would expect from a BioWare game. At all.
Yeah, but look, man. I hate to say it, man, because I was a part of this push. We enjoyed that game until the end game was trash. So we can't be speaking in hyperbole. Like,
I'm not speaking in hyperbole. What I'm saying is,
a trash game.
we do not give Anthem a pass because the development was terrible. So therefore, we should not give.
Dude, listen, we both were there defending that game until we decided.
Why you can't keep? That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the game was. Anthem is a bad game.
Now you're saying it's a bad game.
So what? I'm saying it. I've been saying it for months.
All right, let's
talking about.
Guys, all right, let's
30 days of the
guys,
game
let's not talk about Anthem. Let's get back to Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy 15 is a bad game because the story is terrible. You have to. You literally had to wait until they come out with the Royal Edition. That gave
Forte,
you
they're saying your mic is quiet, by the way.
Oh, it is. I gotta turn it up. So.
That give you all the additional content, and in order to get even remotely close to a coherent story, and even then, once you fully understand the story, it's really not that great. compared to other Final Fantasy stories, it's nowhere near in like the top
I mean, if
5.
you're going to compare it, but see, that's the thing, though. Are you comparing it to other Final Fantasy games?
I'm comparing it to a game, period. To any game with a story.
When it comes
sucks.
to Final Fantasy, it's like one of the weaker ones, but it's still
I didn't think this. Yeah, I didn't think the story sucked at 15, but compared to other Final Fantasy games, I don't think it was. I don't think it was. It was a little disjointed, a little bit long-winded, but I wouldn't say that.
I mean, but that also goes back to how long the game was in development too. I mean, that game
it was in development for 10 years. I mean,
yeah.
And you know they swap producers and stuff, you know, in and out. So you know it kind of happens, but at the end of the day, it wasn't like a trash game.
Right, that's what Slow makes it sound like. The trash can is burning.
Yo,
people are in the street rioting. That's what he making it sound.
Yeah,
like.
you got to watch the words when you say that, because in a generation full of nothing but trash games, that wouldn't be considered a trash game.
Right, that's all I'm saying.
Because it wasn't buggy, and because the engine they used was pretty good, and the character models looked pretty good, and then the combat was okay. I mean, like,
but the thing, it comes down, did you enjoy the game?
No, I did not enjoy. No,
if you didn't enjoy the game, then to you,
Slow-mo, did you finish the game?
And I can't finish it. I tried twice.
Oh, so if you never finished it, then okay. I'm thinking if you finished the game.
Yeah, I finished the game. I love the ending.
Hold up. Well, you say I can't talk about the game because I ain't finished it?
No. I'm saying you can't sit here and say the game is absolute trash and you ain't even finished the game. I mean, if you finished the game.
Why do I have to punish myself?
Because I'm just saying, if you listen, bro, if you finish the game, it must not have been that bad for you to finish the game. But I'm giving you a pass because you finished it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, all right, because we're making sure, because I thought you were saying something else.
You ready to jump down my throat?
Look, all I'm saying is that when you start a game and they barely explain anything at all, and then you got like this K-pop band that's traveling around in a expensive car in the middle of the desert, and then you're pushing the car, and you go, I gotta worry about gas. Oh, now I gotta drive over here. I gotta drive over there. What is the purpose for the first like 5 hours of the game?
Slow-mo. It's about a bonding experience between these guys.
Oh, look, that's not what I play Final Fantasy for. I did not play Final Fantasy for a bromance bonding experience.
It's a unique. It's a modern day take on Final Fantasy.
It is very unique. It's very unique. And that's not always good.
Yeah,
it's very unique.
I want to go to B Money. B, I want to get your impressions. By the way, I want to say something. Final Fantasy VII, when I was playing the demo and that music hits, I got the feels, man. I think a tear came down my teardrop hit my eye. But B, I want to go to you, man. What are your thoughts on the demo if you played it?
Oh yeah, I played it, man. I played it twice. I played classic mode, and then
I played classic and I played action mode.
Yeah, action mode too. So
what do you think of the music,
both
man?
ways. Oh, music is amazing.
Oh my god.
How did y'all feel when the first time the FMV popped up and you got a chance to see Ariel walking with the flower in the street, and then it did the zoom out of showing all of
Hold on, what's her name, Slow-mo? I mean, Forte?
Did you just call me Slow-mo?
I did. I'm sorry.
Talking to Slow-mo then. Are you talking to Slow-mo or are you
No, I'm talking to you, Forte. Forte, what is her name again?
You tell me what her name is.
No, you tell me. You said it. I didn't hear you.
Because you trying to
I didn't hear you.
No, you did hear me. So
no,
what
I
did
didn't.
You say? What did I say?
I don't know. You gotta say it again.
No, tell me what I said. You ain't about to pigeonhole me.
All right, well, you know what? Since we doing that, hey, Enrique, what's the name of Cloud Sword?
Whatever, man. Leave me alone, man.
Wait a minute, you can't even say the name of Cloud Sword?
Look, anyhow, go ahead, B Money.
Problems out here, Enrique?
No, I'm super excited about the game, though. You know what I mean? Like, I was anticipating it for a while, but now I actually got a chance to, get my hands on it and see what they actually did as far as the combat system. It's super impressive. You know what I mean? It's a great balance between, the classic mode and being able to, run through the action sequences. So I'm super excited. Plus, it comes out the month of my birthday, so it's just like a cherry on top, man.
So if I had to give my point on it, my friend on Facebook literally put this on his face. I got up that morning to take my daughter to school, or get her up for school. And I just happened to look at Facebook because, everybody looks at their phone when they first wake up in the morning. It's like kind of human nature. So I looked at it and I saw a whole bunch of people talking about Final Fantasy VII in a demo. And I was like, huh? So I looked, it's like 5:30 in the morning and Final Fantasy posted it like an hour before that. And I was like, well, guess I am not going back to sleep tonight. So I jumped on my PlayStation and tried to install the demo, but then I realized that my PlayStation hasn't been turned on for like 2 months, and I had to go through a lengthy of updates for a system that hadn't been on.
A what of updates?
You got to do updates on consoles.
Updates.
Say it ain't so, sir.
Forte live for nothing tonight, man.
A litany of updates, a Liddy or something. I don't know.
By the way, wait. By the way, hey, Rick, shout out to
go through a.
Real quick, Forte.
I'm trying to let you live, man.
Forte, real quick, man. Wait, big shout out to Gregor Valdu, says names are not his forte. Yeah, I love Gregor Valdu, man. Go ahead, Forte.
No. So I installed it. Finally got a chance to play it around like 7 o'clock. I played all the way till I had to go to work. Man, as soon as the music hit, I knew I was home. I was like, Final Fantasy VII was my first experience when it came to Final Fantasy. I still think Final Fantasy VI is the better game overall, but 7 is the more iconic one. And when I started playing that game, I didn't think the fields was going to be as big as they were. I have the World Class Edition on pre-order, the one that comes with the bike and stuff. So I cannot wait for this game to come out finally. And I already played it through action mode. I already played it again through. I played through classic twice. And man, the first playthrough, I just looked and walked around Midgard to see what I can do and the things that was happening in it. Man, it's very well done. I'm very excited for the final game to come out in just over a month, basically, or under a month.
Let me ask you guys something. What did you think of Kotaku's take on the Final Fantasy demo?
The trashiest of takes ever.
My god.
It was just like, dude, what are you talking about?
This highlights, right? This highlights something big in gaming when it comes to journalists and these big companies giving their takes on gaming. And I think most real gamers, especially on social media, already have this connotation that these big publications, they don't game. They just let anybody write reviews. We saw it with Cuphead. Remember the jump, the first thing, the first tutorial in Cuphead. They didn't even know how to jump.
Yeah.
And now you have this guy. This is just again, it highlights why people word for gaming, because these are the people who are going to. So this particular person is going to probably, if they review this game right now, if this game had launched, he would probably give this game a really low score.
I mean,
all because he didn't pay attention, and he didn't pay attention when
he wasn't paying attention. I mean, there's no way you go to that game and say, I didn't know how to do the whole boss battle, because you like they show you
it literally slowed down.
No. Look, it paused it. It
paused the screen
and explained to you what to do.
Yes,
exactly.
The enemies were practically brain dead.
Yes,
so you could do it.
They were like, "Hit me, sir, please. Do that special move." Like I read this. I'm like, "What the fuck am I reading?" I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Dude, did you not pay attention?"
Yeah.
Either he's really bad at games, or he just was not paying attention throughout the entire. See, either he was just like, "Oh, the demo's out. I need to go out and write something about this, or say something about this. Let me just run through as quickly as possible." Yeah, what are they talking about? I don't want to see that. I know what it means. I know what this means. Blah 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 blah. Get to the end. Oh crap! I'm getting my ass kicked by this boss. What do they want me to do? How am I supposed to control Barrett and Cloud at the same time? How am I supposed to go do limit breaks and ATB and all this other stuff and doing magic? This is too much. This is too much. No, what's too much is that you're sorry gaming ass that had no idea what you were doing because you were too impatient to just read.
Yeah.
what it told you. Too stupid to just do what they were telling you to do. So they were slowly adding everything up in the combat, so that by the time you got to that boss, you've done everything already.
Yep.
The only thing you hadn't done was hide behind cover. And you can't, if you can't figure out when they say hide behind the debris.
I mean, it says it loud and clear.
Getting shot in the face
when they spit the debris right in front of you.
And right in front of you. If you can't figure that out, I'm sorry, you have way more issues than this.
Yeah.
I mean, the character literally look at you and go, hide behind the debris.
I mean, they even tell you when to use magic. I mean, I like, and it's funny. Like I was playing and I wasn't using magic. I think, and I was streaming live, and Slow-Mo was like, "Enrique, use the magic." I'm like, "Yes, that's right. I got to use the magic." But they tell you that. They tell you, like, there's a hit. Like I think, like Cloud's like, "Hey, Barrett, use your like thunder or lightning magic.
Yeah,
it will work."
Lightning. And he's like, yeah, I know. And it's like, oh yeah. Like they remind you that, but you know, who knows what this guy was doing?
This guy was smoking crack or something while he was playing this game. I mean, I look, you guys know, like I've always been, you know, I don't want to say pro media, but you know, I couldn't defend this.
There's no defending this.
Yeah, I just couldn't. Like I was like, I read, I'm like, this. Yeah, I'm like, this is just terrible. And then he put the question out. I think even J-Dub, I think he replied, "You're like, what?" Like,
exactly.
I'm telling you, man, he put that out there thinking that people were going to like jump in there with him. Like, we're going streaking. And he looked back. Yep. Nobody's behind him. You know, like everybody's like, no, you're stupid, dude.
Yeah, I'm gonna read what he. I'm gonna read what he wrote. He said, "Wow, did that Final Fantasy VII remake demo actually send my interest plummeting? I had basically zero idea how to play that first boss fight. A million interlocking systems, all 30 of you at once. What? They're not all 30 at once, dude. You had each, like someone said, each like enemy that you came across was a tutorial, and they were basically begging you to hit them. Like this guy must have been covering sports before he got into gaming media. I think, I don't know.
Yo, I'm gonna go like refine that tweet, and then I said refine, and then I'm going to get his name, and I'm definitely gonna make sure when Kotaku comes out with their review, I better not see this fool's name. On the review. I'm gonna be really upset.
I'm surprised he didn't delete that tweet after.
No,
he kept it up.
He put that shit out there, and he was like, and make sure. He also said he doubled down. He said make sure to attack, but also heal, but also you can heal, but also use magic, but also you can't use magic, but also make sure to stagger the enemy, but also he has a barrier, but also hide behind the debris, but also like, dude, like. It's not that hard. Like this,
it's really not that as difficult.
It is that hard for some people, Enrique. You already know that.
Is it? I mean,
I
don't know.
Aren't gamers?
Yeah, dude. Like you keep forgetting that there half these people that review or talk about these games at these websites. The only reason they did it is because the easiest media to get in to cover games and write about them. I mean, things is games. See, everything else is a little bit harder for them to do. It's like, oh, I get paid just to sit here and talk about games all day. I mean, that's simple. But then if you don't know how to play the games, it looks terrible. And that's what that was, man. You know,
well, you know, I don't want to hate on Dean Takashaki. I forget his last Takashaki, I think.
No, I just didn't like the fact
because Dean actually does play games. He actually does play games. I just like
the fact that he tried to blame the game for his not understanding of the systems. That's his. He want to say he said that took my excitement down basically because you couldn't comprehend what the game wanted you to do.
Wait.
Well, and that
the guy Kotaku is not the same dude that screwed up with Cuphead, right?
Oh, I know that.
No.
Oh, I know.
But Dean's actually like Dean. I will say Dean actually does play games. He actually wrote the book about the original Xbox and
he's got a book about the 360 as well.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. This is a bigger point, right? Is it, you know, even though he plays games and stuff, these reviewers, right? A lot of times, let's say if all I do is play Madden or Call of Duty, and then they give me a Final Fantasy game.
Hey, Jada, what do you mean if? That's what you do, man.
No, I'm just he got me. But you know, and so they give you something that's out of your realm, you don't like, and then this guy is trying to play it, and he's like, this is not my thing. I'm a Call of Duty Fortnite guy. And a lot of reviewers are, could that be a valid point?
So you think Kotaku's at blame for like kind of putting this guy out of his element?
I think a lot of people in the media, that why would you put a guy who all he does is play World of Warcraft? Why would you let him review Call of Duty? Why would you let him, I don't know what the process of reviewing games is.
So
I
J-Dub,
think it's probably lack of resources and lack of manpower.
Hey, Slomo, I was going to say that. I think with the Iron Lords had Jason Schreier on. I think he mentioned that it's hard to hire people into gaming media right now. Like there's like a shortage of people that want to do that kind of work. So it could be like what you just said, like, lack of manpower.
Yeah, I mean, listen, with all these gamers out here and the YouTubers and influencers and stuff,
half of them don't know how to write though.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Shit, listen, you don't have to know how to write and to
tell
somebody
editor.
what you think about the game. Let somebody else write it. You just tell them, hey man, I'm gaming. This is what I thought about it, and somebody else write it.
Well, IGN actually does that. They have a person that does the person that writes the review, and then the person
he consults with the people that plays it.
Yeah, they also had somebody plagiarize reviews too, though. So
that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I will say this though, guys. I think this game is definitely going to be in the conversation for Game of the Year.
Oh, absolutely.
But I do want to ask you guys one more question. This is an episodic game, and I was on the Vitamin G podcast with FC Violent and his crew, and we had a great conversation about this. Like, how do you guys feel about this? Like, do you guys feel like this sucks that it's episodic? Are you guys maybe potentially not excited about the prospects of paying $60 per each episode? I'm hearing that episode 1, the game that releases April 10th, is going to have like 60 hours plus of gameplay, and that's just in Midgard before you actually leave.
It's really 100 hours.
Is it 100 hours? Holy shit! I mean, what do you guys think? Like, are you guys disappointed that's going to be episodic, or do you guys are like, I don't care, it's Final Fantasy VII, just give me the damn game?
Listen, I have no problem with that because it seems like it's a full-fledged game, right? You're getting a lot for your $60. Just because it's episodic doesn't mean your experience is going to be lessened. That means you have more forward to in the whole journey. The original Final Fantasy VII came on, PS1, came with 3 whole discs. And we know that game lasted forever. I mean, back then it seemed like I was playing that game for like damn near 2 years in order to beat it. But I guess to each his own, as long as it's a full experience where I don't feel like, we spend, and I don't understand this, we spend $65, right, on games that we beat in like 5 hours and no one complains. But they're giving you 100-hour worth of content with, an amazing experience, amazing graphics, amazing everything, true to the original story. I don't know. I don't have a problem with it.
Well, I don't have a problem. Go ahead.
I was going to say real quick, but Jay, I mean, we have games like Persona 5. We have games like The Witcher 3 that have, hundreds of hours of gameplay that, you pay $60 for.
No, you're right.
I mean,
right.
But true as that is, Persona 5 could be done on PS3. It was on PS3 as well. It's a game that's easy to. The cutscenes are all anime. It's not going to take up as much memory.
The drawings, the drawings. It's basically a comic book. So when you think of it that way, with the artistry and everything else that goes into it, I mean, the game, I think to install is like 80 to 100 gigs.
It's 100 gigs. It's too. But couldn't they release like 4 discs? Could they do that?
But we probably would have waited, right? We probably would have waited to 2026, probably for that to happen. I don't know. It coulda, shoulda, woulda. I don't know. But it's kind of like right now, I just want the game. Even like. Right now, if they say, okay, well, look, we're still working on The Last of Us 2, do you guys want to, play half of the game, or do you want to wait until the whole game is completed? Most people will probably say, man, give me the half now.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that people are, and you just hit it on the nose, I think they are using this whole split up of the game to basically finish the game. I mean, the game's been in development forever, and they're looking, and I actually don't mind them doing this way because they're adding more content to the game. Now, the only problem I have with them making it like 60 to 100 hours for this version of the game is, as long as they're not doing it to basically, add filler. If they're going doing like a bunch of backstory stuff, like, because you pretty much can get in and out of Midgard pretty not fast, but you can get through it with some reasonable speed if you just
in the original game you can get through it in less than 10 hours.
Yeah, you get it really fast. Yeah,
pretty fast. So if they're going about it and saying we're going to do a lot of backstory, a lot of all that type of stuff, then I can see them adding a lot of time to the game. Maybe they'll go back and talk about the history of Soldier and how, Cloud was a part of that, and how Barrett became the leader of Avalanche and everything. They can really dive deep into all of that stuff, not in just the game that we already have, but just going back flashbacks and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things they can do. So I don't have a problem with it being a 60 to 100-hour game for just the first part of it. And I also don't have a problem with them breaking it up over 3, because I think they just haven't finished the other parts of it yet. Now, the problem I will have is, and I said this on Boom's channel, and I won't, because for all the people out there that didn't play Final Fantasy VII, I won't say it, but there is going to be a very noticeable end to this game. Once you leave Midgard, certain things transpire, and you're going to know when this is going to end. Woo! Now, when you get to that next city and this game ends, you see the man with the big long sword, you're going to be like, oh, okay. You're going to be excited. You're going to be hyped. You're going to be ready for the next game.
It's kind of like
now, if that next game ain't for 2-3 years, then we got a problem.
Well,
that game. We can't be waiting that long to get the next part of this game. That's the only thing I'm kind of.
Aren't you describing Destiny?
It's just like God of War. When the God of War ended and you went back to your house, a scene happened. I won't spoil it for the people.
A scene happened, and it's like I don't want to wait 5 years.
Don't spoil. No spoilers, because Optimus Code hasn't played that game yet.
Oh man.
Yeah.
No, he always says that we spoil, that Slow-Mo spoils games for him. So
well, yeah, he does spoil games. But no, I do think that as long as they have the next version of the game, part 2, out in a reasonable amount of time, I'll be happy with it. But I can't be going through a situation where I do that part and I'm all excited, and then I gotta wait 2 years for the next version. A year, maybe 2 years is like the longest amount of time I'm waiting to wait. But if you're talking about 3 years to the next part, at that point, I'm like, you might as well wait until the whole damn thing.
I don't think it's going to take them that long.
I think 2 years is too long. Go ahead, Slow-Mo.
I think 2 years is too long. 1 year at the most.
I think a lot of. I think there's a lot of assumptions being made, not by you guys, but by people who are mostly complaining about this. And I always say, and I said this in my video, I'm not really like going after anyone who has a problem with how it's episodic. There's some people who just don't like episodic content. Like there are people who will always be like, those Telltale games have great stories. I'll wait until the whole season's finished and then I'll play it, because they don't want to do the whole, I did an episode, now I'm waiting 3 months. Now I don't even remember some of the stuff that happened in the episode I did. I get that. But there are a lot of people who are internalizing what the first game was and saying, oh, it only took me 10 hours to get through Midgard. That's not worth $60. And it's just like you're not understanding that there's way more content here.
There's way more, right? Exactly.
I mean, like just that demo. That's
Slow-Mo, the dialogue. Slow-Mo, I don't mean to interrupt you, man, but I think you said this maybe during my live stream or on Twitter, but I think you said there's more dialogue in the demo than there is in the entire original version of Final Fantasy VII.
No. I ain't said. I said there's more dialogue from the Avalanche group.
That's what I meant. Yeah, the Avalanche group.
Yeah, the Avalanche group, they speak more in this demo than they did in the entire original game. Yeah. There's that first mission, it takes you about 45 to 50 minutes to do in the demo. That you could do that in half an hour at the most in the original game. It doesn't take you that long to get through that. So
well, Slow-mo, I mean, like, would you agree though, like these characters are definitely more fleshed out? Like you see that kind of, you see that kind of like, I don't know, like that, I don't want to say they're just squirrel, but like there's a vibe between Barrett and Cloud at the beginning that I don't think you really got in the original Final Fantasy VII. Yeah. Like there's tension there. That's what I meant to say. There's tension.
Yeah, there's way more content here than what we got in the original game. I think like once people actually play it and realize everything that there is in store for it, they'll be like, oh, okay, I see why this was worth what it was. And I also don't think that the additional episodes will like, as people are thinking like, oh, it took them 6 years to make this one, and this is just the first episode. How long is it going to take the other ones? Well, I mean, the first 2 years were a wash because they outsourced it to another development team that completely did nothing with it.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had to bring it back in house. Then they had to replace the lead lead director on it because he wasn't doing. So there's like all that plus building the assets and the engine and everything. All that stuff said, like they've done the brunt of the hardest work with this already.
Yeah. Keep in mind, this is a remake. It's not a remaster. So for those people that think, oh, they're basically just, redoing the graphics and stuff on the original, and it's the exact same thing. It's not. It's a remake. They remade it from scratch. So there's a lot of work into this, and that stuff takes time. And we've seen that before with other games, And
it's not just a remake. This is like, to me, this is a new game. They're building out this game. They're adding things that the original game did not have. And that's why I was so impressed by the demo. But guys, Eric, B Money, Forte, do you guys have anything else to say about Final Fantasy VII? Because I do want to move because we're getting close to 10 o'clock here, so we spent about an hour on this topic. But I do want to move on. But do you guys have anything else to say about the Final Fantasy VII remake?
Nah, man. It's coming out pretty soon, so looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, one more question, guys. Do you guys think, because this game is timed exclusive for a year, do you think maybe then that coincides with us seeing the second release or the second part, maybe releasing in a year and being a, for the Xbox at least, the first part and the second part released together?
No. Trust me, they want to make that. They want to make that $120. They ain't gonna do it that way. They want that $120. Yeah.
That plus, I think they'll have every episode will be exclusive for a year.
Really?
I don't think they'll be able to get access to the first year and the second year at the same time.
Yeah. Oh wow! Now, B, are you saying that just like your opinion, or is that something that's been confirmed?
I mean, I would just think, just based on the way that they have the first game or the first part of the game set up, that's how it'll go, kind of, throughout the entire process.
Yeah, they can't have the marketing deal so it's a whole game deal.
Yeah, that's likely the case, and it's also, I also kind of think that they had to make sure that they got this game out before PS5 came out because probably for contract reasons, this game had to be on PlayStation on PlayStation 4. So when that's the case, like you're going into a new gen. People are going to start thinking like you're kind of hurting yourself if you don't get the game out before PS5 comes out, and then there are going to be people who have moved on, and then they're like, well, I don't want to play a game that's a PS4 game. Like in their minds, it's a PS4 game, and then now you're kind of hurting yourself. So like I think they had to make sure it was out before then, which is like, I don't think, I'm not going to say they were rushing, but I mean they announced it was going to be episodic when they even did the first initial trailer, but I think the marketing for it, Sony's got it for all episodes. The timed exclusive deal is going to be for all episodes. So like by the time, well, hopefully I would say like this, by the time episode 2 comes out, then episode 1 is probably dropping on the Xbox and PC.
Yeah.
And I'm probably gonna pick it up again on PC, honestly, just to see it and
well, no, you can't pick it up on PC, Slow-mo. You can't do that because you got to get it on the Series X because it's going to kill your GPU.
No, it's not. My GPU will be good.
I'm just joking, man. I'm joking.
Oh, okay.
You know that whole argument that we've been seeing.
I know what you're doing.
Yeah. So the whole 2080 Ti. I can't wait, guys. April 10th can't get here soon enough. By the way, I think we're going to have, Dreamcast guy on next week to talk more about Final Fantasy, given that it's kind of a month out. But I'll let you guys know on Twitter. But I think that's going to happen next week. So, but I want to move on, guys. PlayStation Now, and it's funny. Like, I think I've been sleeping on PlayStation Now. Like, I definitely enjoy Game Pass. I think it's a great. I think it's a great value, at least for me. But I've been sleeping on PlayStation Now. One, I didn't realize that at 800 plus games, you can actually, and you can download and stream, cloud stream your games through PlayStation Now. I've been talking to Nate in the BRAP Discord, and he's like, in DM2, and he's been sending me pictures of, him streaming his PlayStation games at work with his DualShock 4. But PlayStation Now in March just landed Control. And that's not the only game they landed. They have Wolfenstein 2 and Tomb Raider.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which have been on Xbox Game Pass previously. But Control is not on Game Pass right now, and it's on PlayStation Now. And I'm thinking, guys, you know what? For $60 a month or a year, I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, what? I think it's 800 plus games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes,
Now, the vast majority of those games are older games, but then we did talk about this on a BRAP episode a little while ago about how PS Now isn't as it's like the majority of those games are older, but not all of those games are old. There's some actual current have come out within the last 2 years kind of games that are multi-plats. They're in there too, and then I think we even went back and forth. I was going through the list of what's in Game Pass and what's in PS Now.
Yeah, it's pretty similar.
And there was overlapping. There were a lot of multi-plats that were pretty current games that were on both services at the same time. So but back then it was still pretty expensive. So it wasn't really as enticing a deal as $1 for 1 month and then $10 after that, the way Game Pass is. But now, I mean, $60 for a year. You can't beat that. No, you can't.
Keep in mind,
and people don't realize that a lot of those games that are in there aren't ever leaving. So that library that's built in there, that will always be your library as long as you're subscribed there. There's only a handful of games that they throw in there that will leave in a couple months. Everything else, that's your library. You know what I mean? That's PlayStation.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
You gotta think about
people
it.
got to understand that.
Sony has one of the most extensive video game libraries out there besides Nintendo. And so there's just a lot of games that if you didn't play last year, it's there. So, take advantage of it. It may not be for everybody because a lot of people, I'm glad you brought that up about the games being able to download, because there's still people to this day
that
use that against players. They don't know that you.
Yeah.
See, that goes back to what we were saying some time ago on BRAP. Is they need to get that social media account like Game Pass has and promote it.
They don't really promote it very well.
I think they are
going to do that.
That's the only difference between
the problem with them doing it before. They didn't have the capacity of the servers in case everybody wanted to jump. But I'm told they only have the capacity for about 2 million people, and I think that's part of the reason they worked out the deal with Microsoft to be able to expand those servers and the capacity. Because as soon as they dropped God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn on PS Now, they instantly had 300,000. They hit 1 million subscribers instantly, and by doing that and dropping the prices, so they're probably well over 1 million subscribers right now. So if they wanna fight Game Pass or Google Stadia or some other streaming service, they're gonna have to do stuff like that. They're gonna have to expand because it's people are gonna sub to it.
Yeah. But Jacob, they also need to advertise more though. I think they're doing a better job advertising Like we saw on Twitter, they tweeted out that control, but I think they need it because, like I just said, like earlier, like I wasn't aware there was 800 games on PlayStation Now, and actually in the BRAP DM, like B said, I think you said there's a couple, like even some of the newer additions to PlayStation Now are going to be there forever, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's not the case with Game Pass. Again, I'm not trying to. People are going to be like, "Oh, you're just bashing on Game Pass." No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying,
no. These are two services that are competing against one another.
Exactly.
Like the same way Game Pass has the advantage of getting Xbox's first party games
exactly.
day and date. Is the same way that like there are going to be some third-party multi-plat games that will be in PSNow permanently. Like these are advantages both services have. And in case you don't feel like you want to have both, you're going to choose one or the other. These are things that people need to know.
Right, and so that goes to the whole thing too that we've discussed too is just because one is doing something one way doesn't mean the other one is going to do the same thing or has to do the same thing.
Right. Like Sony doesn't need to go day and date. They don't need to do that.
Right, and no one's saying that we're still learning and still figuring out where it all goes. No one's saying that day and date is going to be the differentiator.
Yeah.
That's what Microsoft decided to do for whatever reason that works for them. Doesn't mean Sony's going to do that too. Now,
we know why they do that
too.
Yeah, they need to do that. They need to do that
because they couldn't sell the hardware.
Yeah,
right.
That's simple. So it makes sense for them, but Sony don't have that problem. So they're going to keep raking in the dough from that. So it's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah. Go ahead, E.
But no, but I was gonna say too is like like J-Dub was saying that too. If they start digging back even further into the library, and bolstering with that too, that's a whole another benefit as well. But I think what's gonna really help, and maybe this is what they're working on, maybe this is all a part of their thought process for the PS5 rollout, definitely folding that into PSN.
Yeah,
that's one subscription. I think that's gonna be the thing that really starts to propel it. Right now, you're doing two separate subscriptions, and it's the thing people are getting like analysis paralysis with what they're going to sub to and not sub to. You just have to make it seamless and go, you know what, you're already subscribed to PSN. You might as well go ahead, lock in on PS Now.
But I think if you own multiple platforms, I think you're doing yourself a disservice to not have both at this point.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
One is $60 a year. The other one is I don't know what the Game Pass is annually, but I mean,
15. It's 15 a month.
It's 15 a month. Well,
it's
10 bucks a month. It's $10 a month
at the most. Yeah,
$10 a month, 15 if you're on.
Well, a lot of people stop just screaming that it's $1.
Well, it's $1 for the early adapters.
What you're paying for. But people haven't thought about what they're really going to be paying for. They just keep saying, "Well, I got it for $1."
Well, it's also they say that too because you can easily go to Taco Bell and get a couple of months of a Game Pass with a number one.
Hold on, what'd you say? You get what with a number one?
Yeah, with a number one, we'll get you some tacos.
Wait. So J-Dub, you're saying if I go to Taco Bell and get a number one, I can stack Game Pass on top of what I have right now.
Yeah, you gotta make sure that your Game Pass does not expire.
Lapse,
yeah. If it lapses, you're short
and you lose it.
Yeah, it's you can't use any kind of those kind of deals anymore if it lapses. But if you're still active, then you're good. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to Taco Bell tomorrow. I'm getting number one.
People, listen, gamers are going to find a way. And it's not like Microsoft is making it a secret, right? They always run these deals. A Doritos deal. You buy a bag of Doritos, Oreos, Pop-Tarts, or Taco Bell or whatever. They're always giving this stuff away. They're always giving, So it's not a secret. Yeah, it's easy. Game Pass. Most people don't pay the full price for Game Pass because there's so many other deals that Microsoft basically gives it away.
Yeah, and well, they do that too because they need to get people into the service so they can actually more so they can actually build data. That's the big thing for them. They're tracking consumer behavior and collecting data on Game Pass, which is going to ultimately influence, how they take Game Pass in the future. But I just, for me as a gamer, like I own, like I think Slobo said this earlier. Like if you own multiple platforms, you should have these either Game Pass or PlayStation Now. And I just can't believe, at least for me, like I've had PlayStation for years, And I've like honestly like when I think when you said what you said at DM, I'm like, damn, I've been fucking sleeping on PlayStation Now for years now. Like it's time for me to jump in, and I'm doing that. Like I think both of these services present are tremendous value for gamers. I might maybe give the slight edge to maybe Game Pass because of the first party. But 800 games and being able to download games and stream games on PlayStation Now as well, isn't anything to bat an eye on. I think it's just a tremendous service. But the other question I have for you guys too is, as we talk about PlayStation 5, do you guys think that this is going to be a focal point for Sony? Do you guys see Sony building this thing out and marketing it more, and then maybe putting their first party games day and date? What do you think, J-Dub?
Yes, of course they're gonna, fledge this thing out. I think that was part of the deal. Them working out with Microsoft, it's specifically for this, for the Azure servers. Now, I don't see them doing date and date, or at least anytime soon. And Jim Ryan and other PlayStation executives have also said that. They said that their IPs and their value, they want to keep it that way. They said where it makes sense, they'll do it, and even put some games on PC or whatever. But I see them making this a mainstay. But they see how much money that they can make. They see the competition is going right. People are screaming Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass. I can do this, XCloud this, XCloud that, and Stadia this. They don't want to get left behind, and it's crazy because Sony was the first to do this out of the big three manufacturers. They were the one. PSNow has been active since last generation. So and another underutilized feature that they don't sell is the whole remote play feature. We've been playing remote play with the Vita and your PlayStation 3 and your PlayStation 4 since last generation, and they hadn't really, like you said, marketed this thing right. But I think with the PlayStation 5 and them going, all in on the cloud and being able to full-fledged and take the capacity, and a lot of their games, especially the PS4 games, right now they'll be able to market, hey, here's all of these PS4 games while they ramp up people to go to the PlayStation 5. So yes, I think this is going to be the next big push.
Yeah. I'm going to go to you, B Money. What are your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a push. That's one of the things Jim Ryan talked about when he was first announced as the new president and CEO of PlayStation. So, he wants to build out services. He wants to be able to, have that extra revenue coming in. But I don't think they're going to go day and date, just because, the games that they put in PlayStation Now that have been from first party, they've taken them right back out. So I think they've kind of tested that to see, what gains they have as far as people joining the service, and maybe they'll continue to test that. But I think going day and date for them just isn't smart just yet. Like J-Dub was saying, they don't have the server capacity to take on that many people. When you have 60 million people subscribed to PlayStation Plus, if you enroll everybody in a PlayStation Now, are they gonna be able to take on all that influx of people using the service? Probably not. So that's something that they have to consider. And I think people get super excited about some of the big PlayStation IPs as well as Microsoft, but I think that excitement has probably been waned a little bit because we don't have that same rush of going out to stand in line at GameStop and wait for the Halo release or wait for the big Gears release, and everybody's got their Lancers out there and whatnot. So I think for them, they still want to have that sort of excitement around their IP, and until something changes, they'll probably stay status quo.
Yeah.
By the way, there's currently, because I'm on PS Now, there's currently 906 games in PlayStation Now.
Wow. That's
a lot. That's a lot of games.
Yeah, no, it definitely is a lot of games. It's interesting. Like selfishly, I would love if they dropped their first party day, but I Disney in the last chat said he canceled his PlayStation Now when they took away God of War. I will say this. I think the one thing they need to do, when they do drop some of these older first-party games into PlayStation Now, they should just leave them there. Like why take God of War away? Like it's what, a 2-year-old game, 2 or 3 years now. Like why take that away? Like I don't understand that.
From what I hear, right, there's licensing reason, there's data storage reasons. There's just a lot of various, it's just a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would hope that every game that they have stay there, but I do realize, that stuff takes up data.
Yeah.
They pay for data, and data's expensive in those data centers.
Yeah. Forte, as you play Destiny 2, what are your thoughts on this, man?
Why you say I'm playing Destiny 2? I'm just sitting there listening to the conversation that you wonderful gentlemen are having.
Because I just saw Gabby Forte on my PC pop up saying play Destiny 2.
Well, that means I just launched Destiny 2, sir. That doesn't mean I was playing it the whole time.
When I first got into the party, it was saying Forte was playing Destiny 2. So why are you lying?
Forte, I understand. Like, why would you? Like, I see it. Like it said at the beginning of the podcast. It said again, like,
for real.
Look.
I'm just saying, what you lying for, man?
We ain't gotta be
lies. I mean, and before I got on, you sent me on Twitter a screenshot of you being at the top of a PvP match.
And he was talking to Luca at the beginning of
Luca.
He was like talking to Luca as we went live. He's like, "Hey, Luca, blah 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 blah."
Yeah, I was talking to Luca. Okay, whatever.
So
fine.
You don't have to lie, Forte.
I didn't lie. I wasn't on.
You did. You just got on, and you've been playing.
I said, Forte.
Do you want me to answer the question, or do you want to?
No, wait. I want to address something real quick. Forte, I said, Forte, what are your thoughts as you're playing Destiny 2? You're like, I'm not playing Destiny 2. I'm like, your name just popped up saying, Gaming Forte playing Destiny 2. And you're like, I just logged in.
Hey, Forte, you can fix this real quick. You know how?
Yeah, please tell me.
I'm a grown-ass man, dog. I do what I want to do.
I'm not trying to pull the grown-ass man card. They both old as hell, so they older than me. Yeah.
They old as hell for real, man.
All right, so to answer your question.
Real quick, hold on. I got to interrupt you. I got to pay the bills.
Is it Luca?
No, it's not Luca. Big shout out to JD Gamer with the awesome $10 super chat. Thank you, sir. Says, today is not tomorrow, nor is it an indication of their forever. We have to remember these companies learn, grow, and react to industry needs. Kudos to Sony for doing better after the PlayStation 3 debacle. Go ahead, Forte.
Yeah, most definitely.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. So, for me, I think PlayStation Now just needs to have more marketing push behind it. I mean, Sony really isn't something that they're super really trying to push right now. So that's why, and I think J-Dub said it correctly, the server, it's an issue. If they was to open that up even more and market it even more, and they bring 7, 8, 9 million people in there, then people's first experience of the service is going to be probably very bad until Microsoft can implement even more service for them to actually take advantage of the load that they're going to have. But ever since they dropped the price on it, man, I mean, I didn't had it since it's dropped down to the $10 a month. I paid that $60 for the whole year, and I mean, I know some people that got it for $30 when Amazon had a glitch in the system, but it's something that most gamers aren't even really thinking about, because they're still stuck in that reality where I got to pay for my games and everything. And they feel like once they start paying for so many different subscriptions, you're spending more money than you would actually save on just games in general. I am a huge component of these services because I do have EA Access. I do have Game Pass. I do have PlayStation Now, and I technically don't have to buy any games really from some of the major publishers, with the exception of PlayStation and their first party. And I'm good with that. I mean, the biggest thing comes down to how are they going to monetize this going forward? Are they going to put a really big push behind it with PlayStation 5? Is that going to be like one of the big selling points like Microsoft is doing with the
it's absolutely going to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that going to be one of the bigger pushes that they're going to see? So I think overall, it just really comes back to take advantage of these services while you can. I just heard that they said he jumped out when God of War did drop out of it. I didn't even know God of War was out of it, so that's kind of news to me. But then again, like I said, Sony's not counting on that to be a revenue driver for them. It's just another service that they have, to basically fall back on. And it will get bigger and bigger over time. I don't see day and date stuff ever happening in there. Well, not ever, but happening anytime soon. Sony has shown the ability to actually just look at what everybody's doing around them and just cherry pick stuff that they feel is going to work right for their ecosystem. PlayStation Move was born from what Nintendo did with the original Wii. Now it's a really big staple in their VR initiative. And same thing when it comes to Xbox Live and how PSN became such a big thing because PlayStation saw it. They was like, well, I guess people are willing to play for multiplayer, so I guess we're going to make our people pay for it too. So once they see that it's something that's truly viable in the long term, then you'll see Sony really start, pushing and marketing it because they don't have the war chest like some of these other companies do. Sony's not broke by any means, but they're not about to just spend money just to spend money on things that they don't feel are going to be beneficial to them at this point. Once it's beneficial to them, well, that's what you got to tell that to most of these gamers out here because they say, well, why don't they promote
Microsoft got all that money.
Microsoft can promote anything they want, and they can make anything look good if they want to through promotion. And that's the main reason so many Xbox fans have been so jaded by what Microsoft's been doing with the marketing because their system is a great system, but they didn't up until this year they didn't market that system in the best of ways. That's why everybody kept saying get rid of Aaron Greenberg and all these other people because y'all don't know what y'all doing. And that's what Microsoft has been able to do as of late. Think about it. They haven't had any real bangers that have released yet. Gears of War 5 is a really good game, but compared to what people think are AAA blockbuster melt your face off type games, Microsoft hasn't had those. But guess what? Just the marketing of the new system alone, how much fanfare they garnered over the last couple of months and stuff. Sony's looking at it like, we don't need to do that because our games speak for themselves and people are going to buy those games no matter what. And the moment they see services are the future, like 100% the future, then you'll see Sony jump in a big way. But take advantage of it while you can because it's a good thing to have just to play more games than you play now.
Fair enough, man. All right. Well,
I don't think they'll do day and date at any.
No, I don't think they'll do
any point in time. But I do think that they will settle into I think they'll eventually announce that their first party games will maybe 6 months after they launch will then go into PSNow. Because then at that point you really never really recover the same clip of sales that you were getting from launch to the first 90 days. You don't really it's a steady decline after that for the most part. Unless you're like The Witcher and you come out with a Netflix TV show and then everyone wants to buy the game again. Otherwise, you're not going to recover those same sales. So why not bolster your service that you're trying to compete with and put those games in there where, Microsoft's not Game Pass isn't going to get that game.
I always wonder when they say, and I love CD Projekt Red, but I love when they say Witcher has sold 500% more than it was selling before. I forget what the time window they gave, but I wonder how many games they actually sold in that time window to come up with that 500%.
Well, that's why they use percentage instead of
actual numbers. Man. If you sell 5 games, 500%, sounds a lot better than saying you sold one game and you sold 5 of them to get 500%.
Listen, they're smart, man. They know how to manipulate the data, and this is why they always give percentages.
Yeah.
Don't say that, J-Dub.
No, listen. Who's going to verify it? Nobody's going to verify it, so that's why it's easy to say that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, you know, I definitely think, you know, it's funny, like you guys mentioned, like, you know, dropping their games, their first party games after a certain point. I definitely do think, though, that they're going to, if we see anything day and date, it's going to be first party on PC day and date. I think that them, you know, putting games like Horizon Zero Dawn, I don't know if you guys saw Hideo Kojima talk about.
What do you think they need to? That's the question. What do you think they need to do if they did want to compete with Game Pass? What do they need to do?
Wait.
I mean, I think it depends on, you know, their revenue. I mean, like,
if they want to compete with Game Pass, all they need to do is just talk with more publishers and get more big names in there, bigger games in there. Because, like, yes, having the first party stuff in there is cool, but like most cases, you're only going to get 3 first party games, 4 first party games per year.
That's a great point,
so, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? If you talk to every other publisher and it's like, oh, okay, well, Doom's coming out in a couple months. Well, let's get that. You know what I mean? In 2 months or 3 months after it releases. Oh, okay, Cyberpunk's coming out. Let's try to get that. Let's throw the bag at them and see if we can get that in 3 months. You know what I mean? You want to be able to get some of the biggest games, you know what I mean, from a third party perspective on your service, and as soon as you possibly can. Once you do that, then it's a wrap, because it's like, okay, well, I'll go over there because I know they, you know, they got this locked up, they got that locked up. You know what I mean? The first party stuff is cool, but if you only get 3 first party games per year, and what if you're not even into, you know what I mean, whatever games that they have coming out, then like that's null and void.
That was me last year. I wasn't into a damn thing they came out with last year.
But B, let me ask you a question though. Like, don't you think, given Microsoft's position and how much Game Pass, like Microsoft, they want people in Game Pass more than they want selling consoles. That's what I think, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
don't you think they'll be more aggressive though, dropping the bag at the doors of third party developers to get their games into Game Pass as opposed to Sony?
Yeah, but then if you think about it, like let's say Xbox offers me $10 million to put my game into Game Pass, and then let's say Sony offers $8 million. Yeah, Xbox is offering more, but then more people are going to get to play my game on PSN because, well, not initially now because
the install base.
The install base is bigger, so there's a bigger chance that someone's going to buy it on discount. From PSN, and it will be more.
We don't know like if they incentivize like, you know, the downloads. You know what I mean? Like, so say they gave them, you know, 10 million up front, or you know, 8 million up front, and they're like, okay, well, we'll give you 8 million up front, and if you know you hit this many downloads or whatever, you know, we'll throw something else on top of that. You know what I mean? Because it brought more people to the service or whatever the case may be. So we don't know like what those, you know, backhand, you know, handshakes are like.
Deals, yeah.
You know what I mean? What those deals are like, and how they're incentivized. Because like, you know, when Grand Theft Auto came to Xbox or whatever, and the same thing with PlayStation. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that brought a lot of people to the service. You know what I mean? So if they got, you know, X amount of downloads, then they could have been like, okay, you know, we'll throw Rockstar, you know, a little bit extra because, you know, we got X amount of people who came to the service, and those people went and directly to Grand Theft Auto. So, you know what I mean? We just don't know how that works as far as any of the back end stuff. And with having a larger install base, that is something definitely that Sony could use to their advantage. You know what I mean?
Hey B, I want to, because I think you're the resident, at least in my mind, you're the resident PlayStation Now expert, because you enlightened me on some things about that service that I wasn't aware of. But real quick, I do want to go to JD Gamer with the awesome $10 super chat. Says 2020 Sony fans sound like 2013 Xbox fans, with the idea that their preferred company can do whatever they want and still come out on top. They will learn better, just like Xbox fans did. Hashtag complacency kills. JD, thank you for that super chat. I do want to say something to JD. Even at PlayStation's worst, they actually outsold the Xbox 360 at the end of the generation with the PlayStation 3. I also want to say something in regards to that too. That's not really an apples to apples comparison. The one thing that Sony has that Microsoft hasn't had per se is
The games.
the games. I mean, and not that not that the Xbox has no games. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is the quality of first party titles, the exclusive content they get, the quality of exclusive content they get. Sony has already sold PlayStation 5s, and you may be thinking, well, what do you mean by that? They sold PlayStation 5s when they released games like Horizon Zero Dawn, Spider-Man, the new God of War, Days Gone, believe it or not, despite whatever Metacritic says about Days Gone, sold very well for Sony. So I don't, and I appreciate the opinion, JD. I don't agree with it because the difference is, unlike the 360, Sony has a backbone and a track record. Historically, if you look over the last 25 years with the PlayStation brand, guys, the PlayStation is the best-selling platform console of all time. And the reason why it got there is because of games. And I always say this, content is king. I've been doing this fucking shit for 40 years, gaming. And I've seen consoles come and go. I've seen, and J-Dub, you've been there with me. The 3DO. What happened to 3DO?
Yep.
Gone. What happened with the TurboGrafx 16?
Yep. Gone.
Gone. What happened with the Atari Jaguar?
Gone.
Gone. Why? Because they didn't have content. You see what Stadia is going through right now. The struggles that Stadia is having right now, they don't have content. Content is king. And Nintendo and Sony have done, whether you agree with it or not. I hear people say, oh, well, it's all subjective. I don't like one and done games. That's fine. No one's going to argue your.
A lot of people that do like them.
Yeah, there's exactly, Slomo.
There's more people that like one and done games than you do. So,
yeah.
And we're also not saying that Xbox's 15 studios aren't going to make good games in the future. Like, that's not what Enrique is saying. He's talking about track record and what people like. Let's make it car makers, right? Like, let's say Hyundai made a excellent vehicle this year, right? But Hyundai's reputation for excellent vehicles ain't great. So, like, does anyone really care that they made an excellent vehicle or think that their next vehicle they come out with is going to be awesome? No, they don't think that because of the track record. And Xbox's track, they're going to have to actually deliver on games for a consistently on a consistent period of time for people to kind of reverse that mindset about their first party games. Like, it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah. And on top of that,
hey, wait. Hey, I want to address something real quick, J-Dub, because who was it? Alaka Speaks says PS3 was not a success. The attempt through history silly. Xbox 360 clearly generated more revenue in game sales. Yes, they did.
Some people need to like go and like really like stop making a statement and just go Google and look at some stuff.
Yeah,
because just because you make it up and say it doesn't mean that that's actually how it went or how it is.
Oh, and I also want to do this.
Well, wait, real quick.
JD Gamer, real quick.
Yeah. I'll let you get to that, Slibble. But I will say, Alec, like he's right about the software attach rate with the 360 here in the U.S. But you're discounting the billions of dollars that Microsoft had to write off with the Red Ring of Death.
Yeah,
like you're not factoring that in. So let's.
And how many people went and got fed up with the Red Ring of Death and just went and bought a whole new one?
Yeah, there's people that bought. There's people.
I was in there.
Turning theirs in. Yeah, I turned mine in and I got it back in 2 weeks. But
Slimo, I know people that bought.
Yeah, just buy another one because they don't want to wait.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to turn this into a console wars debate, but
5 red rings with one 360.
Yeah, I'm not trying to turn this into a console war debate, but look, I mean,
it's just the facts.
It's just the facts. Go ahead, Slimo. Read that super chat.
So he's actually got 2. Okay. So the first one from JD Gamer, thanks for the super chat. He says, guys, fix your analysis. Microsoft is the industry leader, and you have to stop measuring a company's success based on console sales. And that is not how the companies themselves are measuring their success. Now, that's partially true. Yeah, but that's not what we're talking about. And if you want to go off of profits and not console sales, Sony is still destroying them. if you
Sony dominates in every facet in gaming this generation.
Yeah, if you combine Microsoft and Nintendo's profits, their revenue off of what they've done on an annual basis, it equals what Sony does.
Yeah.
So even in that category, JD, you're still not. They're not an industry leader, the industry leader when it comes to that. Sony still outperforms them. Now, but they even admitted, they said that console sales isn't how we measure success anymore. They've said that themselves, and how they measure success, they're still leading in that too. So you can't keep trying to move the goalpost to something else, but what you move the goalpost to don't help your argument out either.
Is JD talking about in terms of like Microsoft's overall company?
No, it's gotta be
that's what.
Because that's what
they do.
Is like we start talking consoles and game stuff, and just gaming in general, gaming revenue, and then dudes want to add Surface.
No, these guys, what they do, they'll take they'll take the Xbox, they'll merge it with Microsoft, and then when they talk in terms, they always talk about Microsoft instead of Xbox, because guess what? It makes it look better.
Mm.
But it's when you talk about Microsoft, man, it's who cares about Microsoft? We're talking about gaming, right? We're talking about Xbox. And so yes, Microsoft is the world's richest company, but it's still getting outdone by Nintendo and Sony, and you just have to accept that.
No, but here's the thing. This is one thing I always like. Yeah.
Yeah, let me chime in real quick. I always, and I said this I think last week on Brett. I'm not saying that Microsoft, the Xbox, isn't a profitable product. It is. In that regard, it's a success. But that's not what we're talking about here. Go ahead, E.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I've heard Rand say this before, and I totally agree with him because I know this has kind of happened too, and I think we've seen Rory say this too. Like, I don't care what Microsoft does. I care about Xbox. I don't use Microsoft products.
Yes.
I care about Xbox. That's it. It's like all of a sudden, because guys were fans of Xbox, now it's all of a sudden they're a whole fan of Microsoft.
Well, it's because they couldn't get the console sales and they couldn't win the console war. So we'll do the next best thing. We'll just cater for Microsoft and Surface and all their products.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to go to JD Gamer again with the JD. By the way, thank you, man, for the super chats. I really appreciate it and appreciate your opinion. By the way, guys. I love that we get different perspectives here on this podcast. We always welcome different points of view, different opinions. JD Gamer with the $2 super chat says Sony has not sold the most consoles. Nintendo has. Actually, Guinness.
That's also not true.
That's actually not true. It's actually not true. Guinness Book of World Records officially certified the Sony PlayStation as the best-selling home video game console brand ever, with over 450 million units sold across the original PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, as of November 7, 2019. This is the Guinness Book of World Records, people. This is certified.
He's wrong again. Damn. Okay.
Yeah. And then JD with a $2 super chat says okay, and Tencent destroys all of them in every way. But that's
Tencent does not destroy them all.
Hey, JD,
keep them coming, man.
Stop
We
it,
appreciate it,
JD.
man. Keep them coming.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, just go ahead, man. Keep giving me all this wrong information. I love it. But just make sure it's in color. Make sure it's in color.
This man said
Harlem shaking all over the chat here.
Yeah, he said I'll show you Harlem Shake at your wake. No, but Elika Speaks says you only have one point of view on this panel. No, that's not one point of view. We just agree. I mean, people in the live chat have different points of view. That's fine. But look, the reality is this: I don't care what anyone. Look, here's the thing. The reality of the matter is, it doesn't mean Xbox sucks. I don't think Xbox sucks. But there's a consensus out there. When's the last time? I think somebody in live chat listed a bunch of games that Xbox has. When's the last time an Xbox game, a first-party game that came out that was in consideration for Game of the Year, or talked about in the same breath as a Breath of the Wild or God of War? We haven't had that since the 360 with Gears of War, and that was a second-party game. And we haven't had a great Halo since Halo 3. Look, it doesn't mean Xbox sucks. It just means that Nintendo and Sony have been doing a better job, just like Honda and Toyota make better cars than Hyundai. And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
But like I said, next gen is Microsoft's to win. and they got the studios now. They got some superior studios that are gonna deliver games beyond the Halo, Gears, and Forza, and they got a chance, and that's where they establish the goodwill with the gamers and putting out top quality games.
Yeah.
And
but B, aren't you excited by that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'm excited by that too. I'm excited for Microsoft's first party coming next generation. I think this shit's exciting.
Hell, I'll go a bit further and I'll say I think they're finally going to get a game that's going to be a Game of the Year nominee. I think Ori 2 is a lock for it. I think Ori 2 is going to be it's not going to win, but it will definitely be a nominee for Game of the Year later this year.
Hey, go ahead, get that super chat, Slow-Mo.
JD Gamer, $5 super chat. Guinness only certified the home consoles. I was talking about consoles, and I never said home console. What? Because the handheld's not a console, man. What are you talking about?
Not like this. Not like this.
This is sad, JD. This is sad. You exposing yourself. Thank you for the money.
It's
exposing yourself right now, man.
Stop moving the soccer goal all over the place, man. We can't score.
JD, we appreciate it, bro. We appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
much love, JD. Much love, JD.
Much love.
Somebody get this man an exclusive.
Hey, J-Dub, don't do that, man, because if people are gonna think we're console warring, we don't do that. Hey, by the way, J-Dub, I gotta say this. He's joking, people. It's just jokes. It's just jokes. No, but all
handheld is not a console. Why are people saying that, yo? What is happening here? When did handhelds become console?
Then
5 minutes ago when it was the win this argument. Is that what we're doing?
Would the Galaxy phone then be the most successful console then?
Exactly. I can play games on my Galaxy S9. They've sold more Galaxies than any consoles. There you go.
Give this man a W some kind of way. Come on, y'all.
Oh my goodness. But look, I mean, everyone on this panel would agree that we're all excited about the prospects of what Microsoft could do with their 15 studios, right?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, we were on this podcast a few months ago talking of Compulsion Games, who's never made a game that has been like great or even considered good.
Most people don't even know the games they make.
Yeah, exactly. But we were talking about how, like, there was an interview that came out, and they were talking about how they knew where they went wrong, and they weren't making excuses for the lackluster performance of the previous games, and how, like, we were saying they probably gonna be a dark horse studio out here next gen. Like, don't try to like paint us as biased but then when we do talk up the one side that you love so much, you never remember that. Like, it's like it's in and out of your memory that quickly. Like, come on now, it's not, this ain't pony talk.
Yeah, what do we say?
Pony talks on J-Dub's YouTube channel every Tuesday nights. I'm just kidding. Go ahead, J-Dub.
Right.
Go ahead, Jay. What were you saying, man?
No, I was just going to say, it's not like we're lying. We're just stating the facts. Now, if he says something that is factual, we'll agree with him and stuff like that. But it seems like everything he's saying is not factual. We're just telling them exactly what it is.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I think we're all excited. I'll let you chime in here in just a second, Eric. I'm sorry, man. We're all excited about the prospects of what Microsoft's new studio acquisitions do. They still need to prove themselves, and I've had that conversation recently too. And people are like, look at me cross-eyed, like I'm saying something crazy. It's like, you got to show me, But by the way, I got go ahead, E.
No, go ahead.
I gotta pay the bills real quick. Wilmy Hood, our good friend Wilmy from oh god, I forgot the name. Shit. Wilmy with the $10 super chat says, I'm excited for both consoles, but PC Master Race, woo! That's right.
Jesus.
Go ahead, E.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, having a chat with somebody on Twitter, I think it was like last week, and saying, this is like the first time that Microsoft is going into a generation with their own first-party studios, right? So my hope, and I really think this is what's going to start happening, is the conversation is going to go away from power finally to content.
Games.
Finally, because they're actually coming with weapons.
It won't.
Yeah, man.
It won't. The console won't go, because here's the thing about it just won't. That's the point. That's a kind of a rallying cry. Because this generation of games weren't there, and when they finally was able to get the power, they're not going to relinquish that and talk about games. They're just going to keep focusing on the power, and it fits what they want. So.
Well, I mean that happens for both sides, because if you remember back in 2013, 2014 when Xbox had more exclusive games, it was 1080p made you a better gamer,
Yes, right. I agree.
That was the rallying cry of
Did it really make you a better gamer?
Not really.
No. Hey, real quick. By the way,
understood what it meant.
Yeah. By the way, big shout out to Will. I bet to quote. I forgot Wilby's podcast. Gaming Beyond the Box. Sorry about that, Wilby. But please check those guys out. But go ahead, guys.
I think we actually are going to be able to talk about games next generation.
I think so too. Because there's going to be so many games coming out. Like I remember Phil saying that his goal is to have to show off a game or a new game like every time they show up to a show or something. I'm like, when I heard that, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And so far, he hasn't like lied about that. They have showed new content every time. It's not always what you want to see.
Yeah.
But it's new content, and you can't be mad at that.
Yeah.
You know what? See, I want to say JD said we have to, like, they don't, what do they have to prove? Why they have to prove themselves? They got Ninja Theory upsetting, whatever the case may be, right? Let's flip that around real quick, because the thing I keep laughing at and seeing is all of a sudden, Sony has to prove themselves by announcing their next console after 25 years and 4 generations of successful, sales,
domination, yeah.
But they have to not prove themselves. But we have to go in on complete faith that Microsoft is going to deliver. No, gamers are very much in the here, now, and what's coming up next, not always what happened, right? Yeah, we look back on things that happened, but at the same time, it's like, no, you have to prove yourself.
Yeah. Listen, Neil Druckmann started out said this. He said, look, it took us over a decade to get the team that we have now, where we can consistently crank out high-end quality games. You just can't throw a bunch of people together in the studio and say, okay, go make a 90s, go make a 100 rated game. That's not how things work. So these studios that Microsoft bought, right, it's going to take them time. Maybe their first game that they put out, it may not knock it out. But Microsoft needs to nourish them in those studios and help them out and give them a chance. Don't do what they did this generation, where you have a game, it doesn't do what you think you're going to do, and then you close the studio down or you cancel the game. Like Microsoft did that this generation. When the game didn't knock it out the way they feel like it should, they didn't make any sequels. So we were begging for the Rise of the Rome. We were begging for the Sunset Overdrive 2. We were begging for all the launch games that they have for sequels to those, and we never got them. So,
and I think if they would have done that, they would have been in a better position.
In a way better place. Listen, come on, Lionhead. I mean, you can't tell me that if they would have made a game, even if it wouldn't have knocked it out the park, by now, right? They could have been releasing another one that would surely have knocked it out the park.
Yeah, hey, real quick, because Alec Speaks says, so the combat design lead for God of War needs to prove himself. Okay, yeah, that's not really painting the entire picture, because you could have talented people and teams, and they could still. I mean, those teams have to work cohesively. It's not just an automatic.
Corey Balrog is still there. So Corey Balrog is still there. So.
But he's talking about the lead guy.
The guy that just joined in Exile.
Yeah, just joined Exile. So it's not always a guaranteed thing. That's why we say they have to prove themselves. Like you look at like 343. A lot of the people that initially with 343, there were a lot of Bungie holdovers that went to 343, and look what happened. So it's not a guarantee. That's why we say, they have to prove themselves. It doesn't happen overnight, like J-Dub says. And even if you bring the most talented people, they have to be able to work together and work cohesively. as a group, and that always doesn't pan out either. You have so many examples of this in life as in general. I don't want to bring in sports, but you see sports teams and the chemistry. You can sign all the we know this, Slow-Mo, living in the DMV, with the Skins. It always doesn't work out. There has to be that level of chemistry. It has to gel and work together. It's not always a given. Go ahead.
Yeah, I will say this. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to give the example. I mean, LeBron, Bosh, and Wade got together and lost the finals the first year.
Exactly.
LeBron's fault.
Yeah. We'll talk about it another time for today, but yeah. But,
that was one man's fault.
I mean, on paper, they were supposed to take the whole thing, right?
Yep.
But you need that time. You need that time to really gel.
But I do think that's why, like, you would see like the majority of the teams, the devs that they have purchased are really veteran teams. They're not like aside from Undead Labs and Compulsion, although they do have veterans there as a studio, as a cohesive unit, they're still fairly new. But Obsidian, Ninja Theory, Playground, like those studios have a proven track record, and they've been together for a long time. And I think it's really important, and I think they're moving in the right direction with this. That they made sure that the culture of that studio didn't change just because they're now under Microsoft. It's just like all that stuff stays the same. You are who you are. You make what you want. You do what you do. We don't want to change anything, because once you change that culture, then you start to see the kind of things that we saw from BioWare and how their developers started leaving. And they said, like, when they got purchased by EA, the culture changed. We started seeing what happened with Blizzard when Activision started, weaseling their way into meetings and making decisions based off of, monetary reasons and not based off the game, the welfare of the game and the game being good. So that kind of stuff, them staying out of that, and Mad Booties coming out and saying, yeah, like, I go to these studios, I just ask them what they need, and then take a look at their games and then say, hey, great job, keep it up and keep it moving. That's what I want to see from them.
Yep.
So I'm glad that that's what's happening so far, but they gotta keep that up. And what I really am curious about is when a studio, like, I really want to see from them what I saw from Sony when it came to God of War. When a studio is making a game and it's just not up to snuff, like, are they going to be able to? Are you going to have the backbone to say, "Hey, look, this ain't no good"? Like, you guys really got to, like, go back to the drawing board on some of this stuff. Like, I don't think they have the backbone to do that yet. I also kind of want to see what happens that let's say State of Decay 3 comes out and it bombs. It's absolutely horrible. Or even better. Well, this would be even worse. But more recently, if Halo Infinite comes out and it's a major disappointment, I need to see from them, it's good that they're giving them creative freedom. That's one step of the process. I want to see from them actual growth in being a publisher and nurturing talent, and then also having a firm hand when things aren't going the right way.
It's a great point, Slow-Mo.
343 cannot bomb Halo Infinite and have 3 disappointing games and still be in control of Halo. Either needs to be major changes with the studio, or it needs to go to a different developer, because they can't do it, obviously.
Yeah,
so,
I gotta pay.
Help JD out. Help JD out.
Yeah, I gotta pay the bills here. I'm gonna get the first one. JD Gamer with a $5 super chat. Thank you again, JD. Much love, man. It says Sony needs to prove they have another move other than being cheap, other than be cheaper. They've done the same thing since inception, and when they haven't, they failed. # prove it. Forte's reaction, as he's playing Destiny 2. Forte, what are your thoughts about that comment?
He wins.
They proved it. They've been proving it for the last, at least the last 10 years and it's the thing, they proved it by saying that they're willing to stick with games that didn't even sell well when they first released, and saying we're going to give you sequels to these games. And that's how you get, if they would have just stopped at last of Uncharted 1, where we have gotten the great thing called Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3, and Uncharted 4. I mean, Uncharted 2 was the GOAT. But we wouldn't have gotten that if they would have just did what Microsoft was doing over the last, generation, just one and dones and stuff like that. You know, God of War and all these other games. It's just hard for me to sit here and listen to people say, and like, this ain't a shot at you, JD, because I don't know, maybe you trolling today or something like that. Because I really think you're an even keel person, because I've never seen you. I mean, first of all, you put it in color, so it's been working.
We love the color, sir. We love the color.
If you want to say something on BRAP or any of these shows and make it stand out, throw it up in color, so I give you a shout out for that. But man, Sony's been proving it ever since the inception of what happened with them back in 91 when they had to break away from Nintendo and make their own system. They've been proving that they belong here and that they're willing to give you experiences that no other system can give you. They thought about this long in advance for a lot of these different games and stuff. And then when you could take a studio like Guerrilla that's never made a first-person shooter action game a day in their life, and you could bring out a game called Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, some people may not have liked that game, but it was such a departure from what that studio did before. It was refreshing. And that's the one thing I would say about Sony. They always find a way to refresh the catalog to bring you more and exciting things that make you want to come back and be on the platform. Versus Xbox, it's the old thing. It's like Halo, Forza, and Gears. And there's nothing wrong with it because I love those games. But there does come a point where you got to be more than just those three things. And yes, they got these 15 studios ready to go, and we don't know what they're all doing, but they still have to prove it. Slow-Mo just basically said it himself. The one game that they cannot miss on is probably the biggest franchise outside of Mario in gaming, and it's Halo. And I don't know where they'll go with it. Where they'll go with this, with that game, if this game does not live up to what the gamers wanted to live up to. I do not envy 343 in the situation they're in, because you have another game on the other side of the pond that we playing right now called Destiny, that they had absolute autonomy in being able to get this on their platform day one. This game could have been this generation's version of Halo. And guess what? Everybody would have been like, Microsoft did it again. They got another banger, and they got a lot of people playing this game. And guess what? Don't you think a game of service like this fits perfectly in the ecosystem that Microsoft wants it to be in? Free to play, Game Pass, buy DLC to get into it whenever you want to. So these are the things that Microsoft kind of fumbled over the course of the generation that they're finally fixing, and they're starting to kind of connect the dots overall. But Sony has already done that. The reason people are buying PS5s day one is not because of the games that are coming out at launch, because we don't really know what's coming at launch. They're buying it for God of War 2. They're buying it for Spider-Man. They're buying it because they want to get a better version of Last of Us Part 2 when it releases. They already proved it. And until they completely and utterly drop the ball and fall on their face, people are going to literally just flock to PlayStation just for those games, no matter what. Microsoft still has to prove that they have the gamers got the gamers overall when it comes to that. I think they'll do it. It's just going to take time for that to happen for Xbox in general.
Yeah, it's a great point. I'm sorry, I got to pay the bills again. Slobo, you want to get the second super chat, Slobo?
JD Gamer, $2. Sony got into the market with the $2.99.
Oh no, he got another one. He got another one.
Before that.
Well,
actually,
$2.99 E3 mic drop, and then before, let me scroll up.
Good.
Okay. JD Gamer again, $5. Sony needs to prove they can make a good racing game, good first-person shooter, good third-person shooter, good multiplayer game, good fighter. Sony is not the complete picture.
Why do you,
JD?
Go ahead. Let B chime in real quick. Go ahead, B.
Go ahead, B, because that's
JD.
crazy.
Go take a look at the sales of GT Sport.
Right.
What is GT Sport doing for that community?
Not 9 million
in the IFA.
Exactly.
Putting people who
in real life
play that
racing
game in real life races. You know what I mean? Like they doing their thing over there.
Yeah.
they might not have a big first person shooter because they bowed out and they let the Call of Duties of the world and the Battlefields of the world and whatnot take over.
Yeah.
But who else in the game is doing what they're doing as far as the action adventure stuff? Nobody.
Yeah.
So they've carved out their own lane and they're gonna rock out in that lane until they are forced to do otherwise. Who's challenging them in that lane?
They have good platformers too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When Ratchet and Clank came out, it sold top tier MPD for like 4 months straight.
Yeah.
It was like one of the biggest selling games. Horizon Zero Dawn is their biggest selling new
IP.
Yeah.
Came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And they got Spider-Man.
That's
And
right.
they got
It's their
Spider-Man.
biggest selling IP this generation.
Yeah,
They
and I would
don't.
agree. I would agree that they do need I would like a first person shooter from them because they've Resistance, SOCOM. You know, they put out some good ones in the past. Rumor is that SOCOM is going to be back on PlayStation 5. It's a rumor, but that's what I'm hearing.
Enrique, here's the problem when people say that, right? When people talk about Sony needs this or Sony needs that, especially when it comes to shooters. Microsoft don't have the best shooters in the game. The best shooters in the game are third-party games. So how about Microsoft get, they have work to do as well. So.
Well, I think that it's more of the perspective, I guess, when it looks at that, because I think most gamers feel like as much as Halo hasn't been what it has been over the last couple of generation and this whole generation, people still say that's still a competent shooter. It's still, I mean, multiplayer wise, it's by far it's the best. It's one of the best Halos when it comes to multiplayer. The story is just where it's lacking at. And on the other side, when it comes to PlayStation, I do agree they do need to do better with their first party offerings when it comes to shooters and stuff like that. But I don't buy a PlayStation for that. Yeah. That is the reason. If I want, I mean, granted, yes, if you want to have some type of, if you want people to a bunch of different people to play on your platform, yeah, you definitely want to have something for everybody, which they kind of do when it comes to the single player initiative games and stuff like that. But when Microsoft is more about shooters and everything and multiplayer,
shooter box, yeah,
it has always been that. And like I said, I felt like the biggest downfall for Xbox's generation wasn't that it wasn't the whole, part of it was the fact that they had the whole DRM thing and, all that other crazy stuff. And if you want a system, we got a system for you called the 360. Part of it, I'll say 20% of it, of the bad sales at the beginning was because of that, because the system still sold well in the first year to 2 years. They were going neck and neck until that last year. And what happened? The system that is known for shooters, like J-Dub pretty much said, Call of Duty left Xbox and went over to PlayStation, and all the tournaments, all the YouTubers that talk about the game, all the streamers that promoted the game, all went to that system. All the people that watched those people went over to PlayStation, and when their friends finally jumped over from PlayStation 3 or 360 and wanted to get a new system, PlayStation was the place to go. And that's where Microsoft truly lost a generation right there, because once you lose the casual gamer and they start going somewhere else, it doesn't stop. They don't stop. It's not going to be a slowdown. There's no way you can get that back unless you can find a way to get back what you actually lost to lose those people in the first place. So overall, it's more of a symptom by subtraction at that point. Once you lose, you lost the one thing that really kept gamers on your system, and now they have everything. They have first person game. They have first party. They have the number one shooter on all consoles on their system. That's why they're going to thrive, and that's what people keep missing that point, unfortunately.
Yeah, and actually, I don't know if we got the $2 super chat by JD Gamer. Yeah, thank you for the color surge. Since Sony got into the market with the $299 E3 mic drop, they did. That was their big announcement, the blow to the Sega Saturn at that time.
Talk about the
PlayStation 1.
The funny thing about the PlayStation 1, and most people don't think. See, I kind of think, since I'm in sales, I kind of think of it in terms of that. PlayStation 1, so what? PlayStation 1, what did it sell?
Like
98 million
or 98 million.
98
Yeah.
million? Yeah, so
Yeah.
98 million. And now PlayStation did a really smart thing. They found a way to they found a way to get the casual gamers on that system. And then they did an even more great thing with the PS2. When they implemented the DVD player, which was the cheapest DVD player you can get on the market at that time, and they implemented that into a system, they basically had a Wii effect at that point. People that never would have bought a system a day in their life bought that system. And I will tell you, that is the moment that PlayStation became a household name for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, they just relate PlayStation to media and, you know, content that they could watch on their TV and video games. And once that happened, that's why they sold 150 million. And that's why when the PS3 came back around, so many people still helped PlayStation, you know, take their place back as the number 2 selling system in the ecosystem after having a horrendous launch. So that's why I say people keep saying that PlayStation is going to be, you know, PlayStation's down, they're down and out of it. You know, if the system comes out at this price point, blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. I just think Sony, they're playing chess with a lot of people's emotions out here, because I feel like they're going to be perfectly fine in this next generation because they already summed up the fan base that supports them the most, and that's gamers. And we're gamers, PlayStation people are gamers, Xbox people are gamers, and we're all gonna buy these systems because we enjoy that hobby. But everybody's not gonna buy both systems. But I can tell you this, most people are gonna buy PlayStation before they buy anything else.
There you go.
Yeah. Hey, did someone in the live chat say that PlayStation 3 wasn't profitable?
Wasn't what?
Wasn't what?
Did someone in the live chat say PlayStation 3 was not profitable?
It wasn't profitable in the beginning.
In the beginning,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It was far from profitable.
With PlayStation 3,
a lot of money per unit.
They were losing $240 per unit.
Yeah, they launched a year after the Xbox 360. They launched at $200 more expensive, higher than the Xbox 360. They didn't have Rumble in the control. They rarely had any first party games that started, and it took them 2 to 3 years. Once they cut the price down, they went to they got SD card readers, memory card readers, extra stuff that was in there. It was on. It was game on. That's when they launched the Uncharted and the Uncharted 2 and all the other games that came with it. By that time, it was
Still
no
the best
stopping
Uncharted.
Yeah,
What's that?
Still the Uncharted, yeah.
A year gap, a huge stumble, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they still
came and
closed the gap
back in outside.
based on what?
Games.
The games. And people can keep throwing that back and they're trying to sidestep that and juke around it or whatever.
And people,
that's what it is.
4K Blu-ray player.
People always forget,
or a Blu-ray player in general.
Listen, these guys don't want to talk about the games.
A big security breach.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
That's why Soken went away.
Companies don't bounce back from that right away. They bounce back within a couple of years. People will right back. You know what I mean? You gotta tip your hat to them to be able to bounce back that way.
Has there been a product outside of Windows or anything like that has been manufactured here, made in America, that has been at the very top of its industry that's come from America?
No.
Well, nothing is manufactured here.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean, but home office is how Microsoft based here.
No, the iPhone maybe. They ran BlackBerry out of business. I mean, that'll be it. That's the only product.
And that's not even here anymore.
Exactly. So
that's not even here anymore.
I don't think the iPhone was ever made here.
The iPhone, I don't think was ever made here. I see
where you're going. I see where you're going.
I just look at it America is the number one. It's the number one country for commerce when it comes to consuming media and goods. Yeah. So we take a really big piece of the pie when it comes to the things that we endorse and buy for just our hobbies and for anything. But then when you got something like PlayStation or Nintendo that weren't manufactured, weren't made up here, they're not from here, and we love that stuff. So we support it because we just love what they did. Other countries support that stuff because they love what it is. They love supporting their own businesses and stuff like that. And then it just becomes a household name everywhere. And that's where I think that's why I think Sony does so well when it comes to that, because they just have a global brand that even outside of just Microsoft and Office and, you know, compute and everything, that's pretty much the biggest thing that they have. When you're talking about gaming is it's such a big thing, but it's only so many players that can really compete in that space. And Microsoft does compete in it, but not to the level that Sony and Nintendo compete, because they have way more countries that are more viable for their system than Xbox could be viable in, just because most of these countries only support 2. Like America is the only country I know that really supports all 3 of them, like consistently all 3 of them.
They also don't really push themselves in other regions the way they do in this region. Like they could really cultivate the following they have in South Korea, but they really don't push it as hard as they could.
But I think they're content with the following they have here in America, because they, even though like you said, they're not pushing it, they're still doing so well here that it literally, it's not like they're losing offset because of what they're doing other places. Like, I mean, think about it. They lost in the US, in the North American market during the PS3 5-1. They lost 5-1 here during 360 and PS3, but they ended up winning the rest of the world by a good 3 to 4 million. That's because they're so much stronger in other places.
Yeah, and there is a such thing. I mean, we need to look at it this way. A lot of people, they don't see it with, you know, the way I'm feeling. The world is a lot bigger than the United States. You know?
Yes,
it is. A lot of people feel like the only thing that matters is the United States, and that's why they kind of come up short, because China alone has 1 billion people. This is why you see the big push for having game developers and studios from Sony. Sony opened up studios and stuff in China. You have access to 1 billion more games.
Doing is that's called the China Hero Project. They're really they're giving them them and Epic, because Epic's also involved with it too. Epic is supplying the engine. So, you know, Unreal Engine 4 and 5, they're giving them basically for free, you know, completely unlicensed and everything. And Sony is giving them the marketing, the publishing, the directions, and what they want in return is, of course, you know, exclusive on their platform.
Yeah.
In those games, although some of them will show up on Switch, depending on the kind of game, like Genshin Impact and stuff like that is going to Switch.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, because you look at the game, it looks like a game that should be, you know, on the Switch. But then also on PC, because, you know, Epic. But the big thing for Sony is that they make sure that it doesn't go to their main competition, which is Xbox, and they're giving these studios the means to really get their games out beyond just China, which is the great thing about it. But like that kind of foresight, you just don't see that from. You don't really see that from Xbox. The most I've seen from them, and which is a good thing, is that their studios are opening up like second studios that are like teaching people, like Undead Labs is doing it, and there's another Xbox studio that's doing it, but Undead Labs is opening a additional studio in New Orleans, which is like an area that you don't typically hear or see anything about, like developers. And they're opening it's like half an academy, but also helping them cultivate talent that they could then take that talent and then have them join Undead afterwards. So it's giving people opportunities, but you just don't, as far as like the games go, like Xbox isn't really doing that right now, and that's Sony's like really like finding a way to build up smaller studios that could really be something big for them in the future.
Yeah. Guys, it is 11:07. Oh, we got a super chat. JD Gamer with the $2 super chat says 4 largest world markets are USA, China, India, and the EU. Thank you for that super chat, JD. Appreciate it. Guys, it is 11 o'clock. We did get to the last topic, which was Switch turns 3. Maybe we'll save that for next week. Because that's a whole other, a really in-depth topic. But hey, happy birthday to the Nintendo Switch. Turns 3 this week. And actually, the PlayStation 2 had its 20th birthday as well this week. And both great platforms. But I do need to wrap up the podcast because we're getting to the past the 11 o'clock hour here. But we will be back tomorrow for the great PC Master Race versus console debate at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be myself, Slimo Backslap, Gaming Forte, Optimus Code, and I think there might be someone else on the console side of the debate that Optimus is bringing. And we're going to have a special guest moderator. The Ashaluka is going to be joining us tomorrow night as our moderator, so you definitely don't want to miss that out. I'm going to tweet out the link to that debate tomorrow, sometime tomorrow, early in the day. Excuse me, guys, I'm a little bit under the weather. But next week, I think we're going to have, keep an eye out, just need to reconfirm, but it looks like we're going to have the Dreamcast guy on as our special guest next week, so you definitely want to miss that podcast. But big shout out to everyone in the live chat. Thank you so much. We appreciate everyone's thoughts and opinions. JD Gamer, mad love, dude, says I'm done trolling today. It was fun. Great job, guys. No doubt, man. We appreciate the support as always. If you're new to the podcast, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell notification to be alerted when we go live. Big shout out to our special guest, J-Dub, Kratos. Let everyone know where they can find you, man.
Thanks for having me. Again, it's always good chopping it up with you guys. You guys are great. You guys can find me on Twitter at JDubCity16, trying to keep you guys laughing with the gifts and the memes and the funny stuff on there. You can also find me on YouTube at JDub.
All right, Jay. Always a pleasure, man. Great having you on. I wish you could join us tomorrow in the PC versus console debate, but I know you'll be listening, so that should definitely be. What's that? Yeah, Forte's playing Destiny. All right. And as always, a special thanks to the panel, Eric Jackson, B Money, Slow-Mo Backslap, and Gaming Forte, the multitasker himself. Appreciate the support, guys. We'll see you tomorrow night. Peace.